From Bangladesh, we have the cleanest river. That was the highlight.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. 17th BRICS Summit issues joint declaration, commits to unity, equality, cooperation and reform for peace, inclusive growth, sustainable development and a fairer global order. BRICS strongly condemns all acts of terrorism, denouncing the Pahalgam terror attack in Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi calls for reforms in voting rights, governance and leadership. Israel sends team to Qatar for Gaza hostage and ceasefire negotiations, but rejects Hamas demands to change ceasefire proposal. Netanyahu to meet US President Donald Trump in Washington on Monday. India wins Birmingham Test by beating England by 336 runs. Leaders of BRICS countries issued a 31-page, 126 points joint declaration. The leaders strongly condemned all acts of terrorism as criminal and unjustifiable, specifically denouncing the Pahalgam attack, which took place on April 22nd this year in Jammu and Kashmir that killed 26 innocent lives. BRICS leaders reaffirmed their commitment to combat terrorism in all forms, including cross-border terrorism, financing and safe havens, rejecting any association with religion, nationality or ethnicity. They emphasize zero tolerance, accountability and compliance with international law, including the UN Charter and human rights protocols. Leaders urged the swift adoption of United Nations Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism and Actions Against UN-designated terrorists, stressing the rejection of double standards in global counter-terror efforts. In their joint declaration, BRICS leaders also advocated for a comprehensive reform of the United Nations, including the UN Security Council. The BRICS leaders sought to increase the representation of developing countries in the UNSC memberships. The grouping stressed that reform of the UN Security Council would strengthen the voice of the Global South. The forum supported India and Brazil for permanent membership in UNSC. The 17th edition of BRICS Summit is underway in Rio de Janeiro, aiming to enhance cooperation among member countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shook hands and shared a hug with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva as he arrived for the 17th BRICS Summit. The summit will take up issues of global governance, reforms, climate change, challenges and artificial intelligence, among other things. It wants to form a framework to collaborate on expanding cooperation in the areas of health, ethical use of artificial intelligence to solve global problems, reform multilateral banks to meet financial needs of meeting the challenge of climate change, and also wants to foster a balanced and inclusive global governance. On the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation, issues related to West Asia, BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO). Earlier, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva opened the plenary session on peace and security and reform of global governance at the 17th BRICS Summit. The session, part of the BRICS Summit, focused on key global issues, including multilateral reforms, peace and security, strengthening global governance, and amplified the voice of the Global South. The Brazilian president rejected the Pahalgam attack during his address, stating that he rejects the ideology of hate. And Prime Minister Modi at the 17th BRICS Summit in Brazil thanked President Lula for the impactful leadership, calling it a double espresso shot of energy. He congratulated Indonesia's President Prabowo for joining the BRICS grouping. Prime Minister also highlighted how the Global South faces double standards in development, resources, security, receiving only token gestures on issues like climate, finance and technology. He stressed that 20th century global institutions lack representation and are ineffective, like a phone with SIM but no network. Calling for real reforms in voting rights, governance and leadership, he emphasized building a multipolar, inclusive world order. Praising the BRICS expansion, he urged similar reforms at the UN, WTO and development banks. India remains committed to global welfare, he said. The 17th BRICS summit is underway at Rio de Janeiro. India's role is under the spotlight, from counter-terrorism to trade, with India playing a pivotal role in BRICS and bilateral ties with Brazil gaining steady momentum. DD India exclusively spoke with the ambassador, Dinesh Bhatia, India's ambassador to Brazil, to discuss New Delhi's key priorities, state of India-Brazil ties, and what's at stake at the BRICS summit.
We are joined in by Ambassador Dinesh Bhatia, who is the Ambassador of India to Brazil. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to DD India. Sir, we would want to first ask you about the BRICS summit. What are India's priorities in this summit, and what can be expected that India is going to push for in this summit?
As far as BRICS summit is concerned, Prime Minister has participated in all the summits, and our basic agenda since the inception of BRICS has been global governance reform, and we will continue with the same agenda in this summit. Brazil is of course the partner in Global South. It's a strategic partner of India, and we have a common agenda of global governance reforms.
India has put its very strong stance on counter-terrorism, and after the Pahalgam attack, how do you think India is going to push even stronger this time, or probably make a stronger consensus amidst the member states?
Counter-terrorism is one of our core agenda. As far as BRICS is concerned, they will talk about it in some form which I'm not privy to at this point of time. But on bilateral front, I can tell you that between India and Brazil, Brazil has supported us on this issue. And in this visit, we are trying to conclude an MOU on counterterrorism, which will be another step forward between the two strategic partners.
So, obviously, we'll shift focus to the bilateral that is going to happen between India and Brazil. How do you think, where is the trajectory of the relationship between both the leaders, Prime Minister Modi and President Lula, considering this is Prime Minister Modi's fourth visit this time?
Brazil and India have always been close countries. They have been part of Global South. And since 2006, our bilateral relations were elevated to strategic partnership. And of course, there have been several exchange of visits. Prime Minister Modi's first visit out of Indian subcontinent was to Brazil in July of 2014. That shows the closeness of importance and the closeness of relationship between India and Brazil. And the agenda in the meanwhile has amplified so much. It has deepened and broadened between the two countries, from political relationship where we are close partners in various fora. We are talking about trade and investment. The trade between the two countries has gone up to more than $12 billion with a slight trade surplus in favor of India. Mm-hmm. Then we are also talking about from agricultural research to scientific research to digital partnership, which is a very important agenda currently between India and Brazil.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for speaking to us. So here, as global attention shifts to Brazil with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the BRICS summit, as well as for this landmark bilateral that is going to happen between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Lula, we'll bring to you all the important updates, insights and exclusives from Brazil only for DD India.
DD India explored something very interesting in the heart of Brazil, thousands of miles away from India. Young Brazilians are learning ancient Indian mantras, sacred chants passed down centuries in devotion to Indian gods and goddesses. Guided by Indian gurus, music instructors at Swami Vivekananda Center for Indian Culture, established by ICCR, these students are not just singing, they are embracing a tradition of devotion, discipline and divine connection.
Youngsters in Brazil are embracing Indian spirituality, Indian music, Indian mantras and more. And we are joined in by such a group which has been learning this at the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in São Paulo. And we'll talk to them to understand what they're learning. You know, it's been 4-5 years or more than that for a few of you who have been learning these Indian music, mantras and more. What do you have to say about it? What's your inclination?
We are singing mantra about, I think, 3 years, and doing this devotional music, and we are very glad to be here to have this opportunity to meet with Narendra Modi, and I hope our frequencies go to the world with a lot of peace and love, and we're very happy to connect those cultures like India and Brazil, and we have India in our hearts, everyone. And now it's like see a dream coming true, because we sing mantras, it's like an instrument for us, but now we are like living this.
Indian culture has completely transformed my life for the last 10 years, and I'm deeply passionate and devotionally touched by this culture. So like he said, we've never been in this life in India yet, but India is inside of us, and we are feeling deeply honored by this opportunity by the director, Dr. Jyoti. Really, it's an honor to be here sharing this bhakti, this devotional that pulses through us. So yes, this comes from the straight of our hearts to all of the hearts, and it spreads musically, beautifully honoring this sacred ancient culture that is India. And yeah, it's amazing. It's a pleasure to be here. We're very honored. We send blessings to you all. Really love, 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 love.
Would like to sing for us the devotional mantras that you have learned over the years? Anything that's your favorite and you would like to sing for our audience in India?
Jaya Jagadambe Jai Ma, Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga, Jaya Jagadambe Jai Ma, Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga, Jaya Jagadambe Jai Ma, Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga, Ma Durga, Ma Durga, Ma Durga, Ma Durga. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
How beautifully these people are learning what Indian culture, Indian music, art forms, devotion and spirituality is. Definitely something that transcends boundaries, and this is what we call living bridges between two countries, India and Brazil. With camera person Piyush Verma, this is Meghna Dey for DD India from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
On to some other stories. India's real GDP grew by 6.5% in 2024-25, despite global uncertainties. The country's consumer price index based inflation hit the lowest since February 2019. More in this report.
India continues to strengthen its position as the world's fastest growing major economy, expanding steadily despite global uncertainties. The Reserve Bank of India projects this robust momentum to continue into 2025-26, underscoring the country's economic resilience and balanced growth across sectors, fueled by solid domestic demand, easing inflation, and rising exports. Real GDP grew by 6.5% in 2024-25, reflecting healthy underlying economic activity after adjusting for inflation. Other projections also remain optimistic, with the United Nations forecasting growth of 6.3% this year and 6.4% next year, while the Confederation of Indian Industry places its estimate between 6.4 and 6.7%. In 2014-15, the GDP at current prices was 106.57 lakh crore rupees. It's expected to rise to over 331.03 lakh crore rupees in 2024-25, nearly tripling in 10 years. Inflation based on the consumer price index stood at 2.82%, the lowest since February 2019. The number of retail investors surged from 4.9 crore in 2019 to 13.2 crore by the end of 2024. Foreign direct investment inflows reached a provisional $81.04 billion in fiscal year 2024-25, marking a 14% rise from the previous year. Foreign exchange reserves hit a record $697.9 billion as of June 20, 2025. The current account balance posted a surplus of $13.5 billion in Q4 of 2024-25, compared to $4.6 billion in the same quarter previous year. Total exports soared to a new high of $824.9 billion in 2024-25, growing 6.01% from $778.1 billion in 2023-24. Key indicators such as record foreign exchange reserves, a manageable current account deficit, and increasing foreign investment reflect growing global trust in India's long-term prospects. Bureau Report, DD India.
India's Minister of Cooperation, Amit Shah, interacted with people associated with the cooperative sector at the iconic Amul dairy in Anand in western Indian state of Gujarat. He was there on the occasion of completion of 4 years of India's Ministry of Cooperation. In 4 years, the ministry has taken several initiatives, steps that are based on 5P strategy, stands for people, pacts, platform, policy and prosperity. In the last 4 years since the setting up of Ministry of Cooperation, 60 new initiatives have been taken for the development, promotion and equitable growth of the cooperative sector in India.
मित्रों, हमारे देश में सहकारिता वैदिक काल से चली। पंचायत, चौपाल, समिति, भंडारा, लंगर, साझा चूल्हा, सहभोज, अनेक प्रकार से एक साथ बैठना, सोचना, भोजन करना, काम करना, ये हमारे समाज का संस्कार रहा। और उसी संस्कार को आज के ही दिन नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने विधायी स्वरूप देते हुए देश में पहली बार अलग सहकारिता मंत्रालय बनाने का निर्णय हमारे नेता नरेंद्र मोदी ने किया।
The nation pays heartfelt tribute to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mookerjee on his 124th birth anniversary today. As the visionary founder of the Bharatiya Janasangh, Dr. Mookerjee was known for his fearless voice and unwavering commitment to nationalistic ideas. He laid the ideological foundation for a self-reliant and united India. His tireless dedication to national integration and ultimate sacrifice continue to inspire generations. Leaders cutting across party lines paid tributes to Dr. Mookerjee at the Central Hall of Samvidhan Sadan. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, BJP National President, Union Ministers JP Nadda and Ashwini Vaishnav and others offered floral tributes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also paid heartfelt tributes to Dr. Mookerjee. Prime Minister Modi posted on social media platform X, and I quote, a heartfelt tribute to the immortal son of the nation, Dr. Shyama Prasad Mookerjee, on his birth anniversary. He sacrificed his life to protect the honor, dignity and pride of the country. His ideals and principles are invaluable in the construction of a developed and self-reliant India. Some weather news now. The monsoon has tightened its grip across parts of India, prompting the Met Department to issue red alert for the states of Himachal Pradesh and Maharashtra, warning of extremely heavy rains. The IMD has also issued an orange alert for several other states, including Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Kutch, Gujarat. Tanag Bazar in Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district has been severely affected by flash floods and sudden cloudburst. Rescue teams, including National Disaster Response Force, have been deployed to carry out relief operations. While authorities remain on high alert as rains continue in parts of the district, IMD have issued a red alert for Himachal Pradesh. India's national capital, Delhi, on Sunday witnessed rains offering much-needed respite to Delhiites who had been enduring a prolonged spell of humidity. IMD issued an orange alert for Delhi, forecasting light to moderate rains accompanied by thunderstorms for the national capital over the next couple of days. And weather across the world this week has taken a toll across the world, with floods in the US to heat wave in Europe. This week has witnessed extremes. The next report by Ragini Sudhir Chaure brings us more.
This week, extreme weather has battered regions across the globe, from deadly flash floods in the United States and Colombia to relentless heat waves and wildfires in Europe and intense monsoon rains in India. At least 59 people, including 15 children, have died in catastrophic flash floods sweeping across central Texas. Torrential rains dumped up to 15 inches over the Guadalupe River, triggering sudden and violent flooding that has left entire communities underwater. Authorities say the actual death toll could rise as floodwaters continue to ravage multiple counties. Among those still missing are 27 young girls from Camp Mystic, a popular summer camp in Texas' Scenic Hill country. Search and rescue operations are ongoing, with teams racing against time to locate the missing. Eyewitness Tonia Fuki, a Pennsylvania resident visiting her grandmother in Comfort, Texas, described the moment floodwaters surged through.
Complete shock. I'm still in shock today. The devastation was such that I'm still in shock today. And with the rescues going on and the helicopters, you just know there's so many missing children and missing people.
Meanwhile, in Colombia's border region with Venezuela, a state of calamity has been declared following heavy rains and the rapid rise of the Orinoco River. The flooding has severely damaged drainage systems, transport networks and public infrastructure, while putting vulnerable communities at increased risk. The emergency declaration will stay in effect for 6 months to enable faster response and recovery efforts. The intense rains across China's Sichuan province have triggered flash floods, landslides, and widespread infrastructure damage in multiple regions, prompting emergency response. The downpour triggered multiple flash floods and mudslides across 12 towns. A total of 1,719 people of 645 households have been relocated to safety. In Europe, a brutal heat wave is sweeping across the continent. In France, the soaring heat has triggered early season wildfires in the southern departments of Aude and Hérault. Aircrafts have been deployed and more than 400 firefighters are battling the blaze that has already scorched hundreds of hectares.
The fire broke out at around 1:30 p.m. today. At present, the fire is. It has been stabilized, but it's not over yet. Stabilized means that there are fewer intense outbreaks, but there are still many hot spots that we are going to have to deal with throughout the night. So, it's only now that we are going to be able to put out some of the fire to prevent it from reignition again tomorrow morning, when the wind picks up and the heat returns.
And back home in India, the monsoon is lashing large swaths of the country. In Himachal Pradesh's Mandi district, Thunag Bazar has been hit by flash floods and a sudden cloudburst, prompting emergency relief operations by the National Disaster Response Force. The India Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for Himachal Pradesh and Maharashtra, warning of extremely heavy rainfall. An orange alert is in place for states including Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, Uttarakhand, and several others. In the national capital, Delhi, residents finally found respite from the humidity as showers brought down temperatures. The IMD forecasts more rain over the next 2 days, along with thunderstorms. From flash floods to forest fires, this week's weather has shown the sheer force of nature impacting lives, displacing families, and putting emergency responders to test across continents. Ragini Sudhir Chaure's report for DD India.
And heavy rains have caused the Orinoco River to overflow, flooding the Colombian border region of Veshada. Homes, roads, public services in Puerto Carreno and nearby areas are badly damaged. Around 6,000 people are suffering as emergency efforts speed up. Governor Fulberto Guevara announced a 6-month state of calamity to help bring urgent aid and recovery. The worst hit areas are struggling with blocked drains, health risks as floodwaters continue to spread. And France has deployed firefighting aircraft and mobilized hundreds of firefighters to battle wildfires in southern part of the country after blazes erupted near the A61 and A9 motorways in the Aude region. The fires, which have already scorched more than 400 hectares of vegetation, are the major wildfires of the season and come in the wake of 16-day heat wave that left the region dry and highly vulnerable. Thick smoke and advancing flames forced partial road closures and raised alarms among nearby communities. Fire Chief Eric Flores said that though the fire has been stabilized, it is not yet out, and the crew are working through the night to prevent flare-ups.
At present, the fire has been stabilized, but it's not out yet. Stabilized means that there are fewer intense outbreaks. But there are still many hotspots that we are going to have to deal with throughout the night. So it's only now that we are going to be able to put out some of the fire to prevent it from reigniting again tomorrow morning when the wind picks up and the heat returns.
Dalai Lama's 90th birthday is being celebrated with religious prayers and cultural programs at the main temple in Dharamshala, a town in the Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. The ceremony is being attended by thousands of followers from around the world. Also, Indian Minister Kiran Rijiju and Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Pema Khandu attended the celebrations of the spiritual leader in Dharamshala. Still to come on this edition of TD India Live. Russia claims to have captured another 2 settlements in East Ukraine. United Kingdom is re-establishing diplomatic relations with Syria after the country's years-long civil war.
A bombing campaign against Iran. The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on
Welcome back. You're watching TD India Live. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has extended warm greetings to Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama on the occasion of his 90th birthday. Prime Minister says that Dalai Lama has been an enduring symbol of love, compassion, patience and moral discipline, adding that his message has inspired respect and admiration across all faiths. Ashura, which falls on the 10th day of the first month of the Islamic calendar, Muharram, was observed on Sunday. Ashura commemorates the martyrdom of Imam Hussain, the grandson of Prophet Muhammad, who died at the Battle of Karbala in 680 AD. The day is marked with prayers, religious gatherings and mourning processions, honoring the spirit of sacrifice, patience and devotion. Imam Hussein's exemplary life, teachings, fearless fight against injustice, and his supreme sacrifice finds resonance in every era, continues to inspire generations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi remembered the sacrifice of Hazrat Imam Hussain. Taking to social media platform X, Prime Minister says, and I quote, "The sacrifices made by Hazrat Imam Hussain emphasizes his commitment to righteousness. He inspires people to uphold truth in the face of adversity." The holy Ashura, marking the martyrdom of Hazrat Imam Hussain ibn Ali, was observed across Bangladesh on Sunday. In Dhaka, members of the Shia community brought out the traditional Tazia procession, which began from Imambara Hussaini Dalan and passed through key areas before concluding at Dhanmondi. Authorities imposed restrictions on carrying sharp weapons during the procession for safety. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus emphasized peace, justice and unity on the occasion. Let's turn to some other news now. Russia said on Sunday it had captured another 2 settlements in East Ukraine, one in the Donetsk region and one in Kharkiv. Ukraine did not immediately comment on Russia's claims. Moscow has been grinding forward on the front lines for over a year, pressing its advantage against overstretched and outmanned Ukrainian troops. On Sunday, Russia said it had captured the village of Pidubn in Donetsk and Sobolivka in Kharkiv. The Russian military accelerated its advances for a third consecutive month in June. Amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukraine is seeking additional Patriot air defense systems to bolster its security. The development follows what Ukrainian President Zelensky described as his most productive talks yet with US President Donald Trump. In his address, President Zelensky emphasized the critical importance of air defense, saying the Patriot system is precisely the key to protection against ballistic threats. The two leaders also discussed a range of other strategic issues, with further deliberations expected in the upcoming high-level meetings.
Regarding the conversation with the President of the United States, which took place the day before, it was probably the best conversation we have had during this whole time, most productive. We discussed air defense issues, and I'm grateful for the willingness to help. The Patriot system is precisely the key to protection against ballistic threats. We also discussed several other important matters, which our teams will be working through in more detail in upcoming meetings.
In other developments, Israel sent delegation to Qatar for talks on possible Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal. Although Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says the changes requested by Hamas to a ceasefire proposal were unacceptable. Hamas's demands include withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. Netanyahu, who is due to meet President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. on Monday, has repeatedly said Hamas must be disarmed. Hamas, however, has refused to discuss this Israeli demand. This comes after Hamas said it had responded to US-backed Gaza ceasefire proposal in a positive spirit days after Trump said Israel had agreed to necessary conditions to finalize a 60-day truce. United Kingdom has announced that it was re-establishing diplomatic relations with Syria after the country's years-long civil war, as Foreign Minister David Lammy visited Damascus, pledging $129 million in support. Lammy met Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara. Lammy's visit, the first by a British minister in 14 years, comes days after US President Donald Trump signed an exclusive order. And those visuals now we turn to from Brazil. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a bilateral meet with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. This meeting took place just a short while ago on the occasion of the 17th BRICS. A number of key bilateral meetings are also taking place on the sidelines. Here in the visuals that came in a short while ago, an important bilateral meet between Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. The two sides with the delegation held an important bilateral talk on the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit. The BRICS Summit in its declaration has spoken of unity and working together for the progress of the Global South. The number of observer nations who've also been invited, Malaysia being one of them. And these visuals, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim and Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India holding bilateral talks. The two countries, India and Malaysia, share warm and friendly relations and converge on key development and strategic priorities. In the visuals, Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding talks with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. This bilateral meet taking place on the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit underway in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil took place a short while ago. A number of key bilateral engagements for Prime Minister Narendra Modi are scheduled as he represents India at the 17th BRICS Summit. India and Malaysia, key development partners in the region, and the leaders also find an occasion to hold talks over key priorities on the sidelines of the BRICS 2025, the 17th edition of the BRICS Summit, which comprises 11 nations. A number of observer nations, invited nations also participate in the BRICS Summit. And on the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit, these visuals that came in a short while ago from Brazil, Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds bilateral talks with Prime Minister of Malaysia in Rio de Janeiro. Moving on, in a stunning political move, billionaire Elon Musk has launched a new party in the United States, calling it the America Party, to challenge what he describes as the country's one-party system. Announcing it on the platform X, Elon Musk took aim at both Republicans and Democrats, saying America needs fresh leadership. The move comes after Elon Musk openly criticized President Trump's newly signed tax cut and spending bill, warning that soaring deficits could bankrupt the nation. Elon Musk has also vowed to fund campaigns to unseat lawmakers who supported this contentious bill. A team of technical experts from the United Kingdom arrived in India's Thiruvananthapuram on Sunday to carry out repairs on a British F-35 fighter jet that has been grounded at the city's international airport since mid-June. The advanced stealth aircraft, part of HMS Prince of Wales Carrier Strike Group, was forced to make an emergency landing on June 14th after encountering adverse weather conditions and low fuel levels while operating approximately 100 nautical miles off the coast of Kerala. The Indian Air Force facilitated the safe landing and provided refueling and logistical assistance. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the British High Commission expressed appreciation for India's continued support and collaboration. In sports, India outplayed England by 336 runs in the second test at Edgbaston, Birmingham on Sunday to level the five-match series 1-1. With the win, Shubman Gill-led side scripted history as it turned out to be India's first ever test win at the venue. It was a batting paradise on offer where Gill scored an aggregate 430 with knocks of 269 in the first innings and 161 in the second. Akashdeep duly impressed as well in the absence of ace pacer Jasprit Bumrah by picking up 10 wickets, including a 6-wicket haul in the final inning. Mohammad Siraj too helped the team's cause, picking up 7 wickets to his name. Continuing the momentum of Sundays on cycle, fitness enthusiasts once again gathered in New Delhi this Sunday. The event was organized by Sports Ministry in partnership with Residents Welfare Association of Delhi NCR. Abhishek Mahajan gets us more.
Delhi's Major Dhyan Chand National Stadium turned into a cycling hub as hundreds gathered for the latest edition of Fit India Sundays on Cycle. The initiative, launched under the Fit India movement, aims to encourage people of all ages to adopt cycling as part of their routine.
फिट इंडिया संडे और साइकिल के साथ जुड़ के काफ़ी अच्छा लग रहा है हमें, क्योंकि अगर हम फिट होंगे तभी हमारी मेंटल स्ट्रेंथ काम करेगी। तो यही है कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा फिट रहो और स्वस्थ रहेंगे तो तभी हम अपने ज़िंदगी के जो और काम कर पाएंगे।
From school children to senior citizens, all united by the goal of staying fit. The event also featured Zumba sessions, yoga corners and fun fitness games, making it a holistic wellness experience.
यहाँ पे बहुत ही अच्छा माहौल बना रखा है। फिट इंडिया हमारी सरकार की तरफ से यहाँ पे रस्सी हो रही है, योगा हो रहा है और भी बहुत सारे इवेंट्स हो रहे हैं। साइकिलिंग मैंने खुद करी थी, बहुत ही मज़ा आया और मैं ये चाहती हूँ कि हमारे देश में सब फिट इंडिया और इसकी तरफ जाएं।
Since its launch, the Fit India Sundays on Cycle campaign has reached thousands across India, promoting health, reducing carbon footprint and turning Sunday mornings into a celebration of movement and togetherness.
Whether it's a pedal towards fitness or push for a cleaner air, Delhi Cycling Sundays are definitely gaining momentum and wheels of change are definitely in motion. With cameraman Uttam, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Delhi for DD India.
Leaders of BRICS countries issued a 31-page, 126 points joint declaration. The leaders strongly condemned all acts of terrorism as criminal and unjustifiable, specifically denouncing the Pahalgam terror attack which took place on April 22nd this year in Jammu and Kashmir that killed 26 innocent lives. BRICS leaders reaffirmed their commitment to combat terrorism in all forms, including cross-border terrorism, financing and safe havens, rejecting any association with religion, nationality or ethnicity. They emphasized zero tolerance, accountability and compliance with international law, including the UN Charter and human rights protocols. The leaders urged the swift adoption of UN's Comprehensive Convention on International Terrorism and action against UN-designated terrorists, stressing the rejection of double standards in global counter-terrorism efforts. In their joint declaration, BRICS leaders also advocated for a comprehensive reform of the United Nations, including the UN Security Council. The BRICS leaders sought to increase the representation of developing countries in the UNSC memberships. The grouping stressed that reform of UN Security Council would strengthen the voice of the Global South. The forum supported India and Brazil for permanent membership in the UNSC. The 17th edition of BRICS Summit is underway in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, aiming to enhance cooperation among member countries. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shook hands, shared a hug with Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva as he arrived for the 17th BRICS Summit. The summit will take up issues of global governance, reforms, climate change, challenges in artificial intelligence, among other things. It wants to form a framework to collaborate on expanding cooperation in the areas of health, ethical use of artificial intelligence, to solve global problems, reform multilateral banks, to meet the financial needs of meeting the challenge of climate change. Also wants to foster a balanced and inclusive global governance. On the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. The two leaders discussed bilateral cooperation and issues related to West Asia, BRICS and Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Earlier, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva opened the plenary session on peace, security and reform of global governance at the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. The session, part of the BRICS Summit, focused on key global issues including multilateral reforms, peace and security and strengthening global governance to amplify the voice of the Global South. The Brazilian president rejected the Pahalgam terror attack during his address, stating that he rejected the ideology of hate. On the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Brazil, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Both leaders held discussions on a wide range of issues, including those of mutual and global interest. And DD India explored something very interesting in the heart of Brazil. Thousands of miles away from India, young Brazilians are learning ancient Indian mantras, sacred chants passed down for centuries in devotion to Indian gods and goddesses. Guided by Indian gurus and music instructors at Swami Vivekananda Center for Indian Culture, established by ICCR, these students are not just singing, they are embracing a tradition of devotion, discipline and divine connection.
Youngsters in Brazil are embracing Indian spirituality, Indian music, Indian mantras and more. And we're joined in by such a group which has been learning this at the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in Sao Paulo. And we'll talk to them to understand what they're learning. You know, it's been 4-5 years or more than that for a few of you who have been learning these Indian music, mantras and more. What do you have to say about it? What's your inclination?
We are singing mantra about, I think, 3 years and doing this devotional music. And we are very glad to be here to have this opportunity to meet with Narendra Modi and hope our frequencies go to the world with a lot of peace and love. And we are very happy to connect those cultures like India and Brazil. And we have India in our hearts. Everyone. And now it's like see a dream coming true because we sing mantras, it's like an instrument for us, but now we are like living this.
Indian culture has completely transformed my life for the last 10 years, and I'm deeply passionate and devotionally touched by this culture. So like he said, we've never been in this life in India yet, but India is inside of us, and we are feeling deeply honored by this opportunity by the director, Dr. Jyoti. Really, it's an honor to be here sharing this bhakti, this devotional that pulses through us. So yes, this comes from the straight of our hearts to all of the hearts, and it spreads musically, beautifully honoring this sacred ancient culture that is India. And yeah, it's amazing. It's a pleasure to be here. We're very honored. We send blessings to you all. Really love, 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 love.
Would like to sing for us the devotional mantras that you have learned over the years? Anything that's your favorite and you would like to sing for our audience in India?
Jaya Jagadambe Jai Ma, Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga, Jaya Jagadambe Jai Ma, Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga, Jaya Jagadambe Jai Ma, Jaya Jagadambe Ma Durga, Ma Durga, Ma Durga, Ma Durga, Ma Durga. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Jai Ma.
How beautifully these people are learning what Indian culture, Indian music, art forms, devotion and spirituality is. Definitely something that transcends boundaries, and this is what we call living bridges between two countries, India and Brazil. With camera person Piyush Verma, this is Meghna Dey for DD India from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan this QR code on your screen and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.